Newcastle tomorrow night, and I know that Newcastle aren't in great form lately. I know they're slipping down the table, but St James's Park will not be an easy game. 2 games a week for Manchester United, something we're not used to. Now, Newcastle are out of form. They're missing their best player in Bruno Fernandes. They have a little bit of an illness going around as well. They're missing a few players. We are favourites to win that game, but we cannot underestimate St James's Park. We don't have a good record there, and we have a few injury blows ourselves. We're going to preview the Newcastle game. We're going to get into the transfer news. We're going to get into the other stories around Man United today, because a new 40 million midfield target has been linked to Manchester United, a player we've not been linked to before. Why have the midfield plans changed? What does this mean? What could the midfield plans be? We're going to talk about Bruno potentially signing a new deal. We're going to talk about Manchester United and a player they rejected a bid for in January, a few other stories around the goalkeeping scout, and more. So, hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to your 10-minute Manchester United news, transfer news, and update roundup show, where I'm going to round up all the latest Manchester United news into a 10-minute video for you guys. If you do enjoy today's video, feel free to hit that like button. You're welcome to subscribe if you're new. Let's get into it. So I saw Alex share this on Twitter, and I thought that I would share it as well. United have won one of our last 8 games at Newcastle with fans in attendance, a 4-1 win in lockdown. They have lost 3 home games in a row and really miss Guimaraes, but I take a point and run tomorrow in all honesty. I take a point tomorrow. One of Villa and Chelsea is going to drop points anyway, which is a big boost for us, but I would take a point tomorrow, continue the unbeaten streak. I don't want to lose. I would like to win, but I think if you can take a point and run, I don't think it's bad. I wouldn't be concerned. I really think St James's Park, despite Newcastle's form, is difficult. I know Bruno Fernandes is missing. I know Newcastle aren't great, but we don't have a good record there. I think we are just better at home in general this season. It'll be interesting to see how we do, because we're not used to playing 2 games a week, and we've got 2 games in quick succession. It'll be interesting to see how we do in that sense. Like, we're on a good run, we're on good form, but Palace was tight. Everton was tight. I'm not super confident going in tomorrow. I mean, let me know your predictions down below, but it's given 1-1 draw vibes. And another reason I'm not super confident is Lisandro Martinez is not available for tomorrow's game against Newcastle. We don't know about Shaw and Mount. They might be, they might not be. I don't know. I'm happy with Mazraoui starting a left back, so I don't really care about Shaw, and Mount wouldn't start anyway. Obviously, it'd just be nice to have them fit so they can be an option on the bench. I think Leach is a blow. I actually think, apart from the corner versus Crystal Palace, I think Yoro had a good game. I think apart from the first 10 minutes of both the Palace and Everton game, I think Yoro had a good game, and obviously had a very good cameo when he came off the bench versus West Ham. I do very much like Lenny Yoro, and I like Yoro and I like Maguire, but Leach's ability when it comes to passing, creating and breaking lines, it does help us break down low blocks, and I think that could be a miss. That said, I think Yoro would be quite beneficial, because I think they're going to start this Voltemada Barnes front 3, which is a bit more pacey, and I think Yoro could deal with that well. But I think Leach is a big miss. There was a feeling he was only going to miss 1 or 2 games, but it's looking like he's out for longer than expected, which is really annoying. So, Man United's midfield plans have changed. I like this option, but I do prefer the 40 million options. Manchester United are keeping tabs on Tyler Adams with a 40 million fee, making him a cost-effective target. Tyler Adams is experienced, he's Premier League proven, he's a good player, I like him. The only thing is, he's 27? 40 million on a 27-year-old? I think he's the kind of guy where if he was 25 million, I would take it. Like, if you could get Tyler Adams for 30 million, I'd take it. Maybe not 40 million. I think João Gomez is younger. I'd probably go with him for 40 million, or spend an extra 10 million and get Matheus Fernandes. But obviously Tyler Adams is a name that's not really been linked to Manchester United, but is a name that we're considering. And it'll be interesting to understand why our midfield moves and plans have changed. This isn't one that we originally planned. But I think it's because Man United have probably come to realization that they're probably going to get Champions League football. They need, if Ugarte and Casemiro go, they can't just bring in 2 midfielders, they need 3. And I think we want 1 big midfielder, which I'm going to get into in my next slide, and I think 2 smaller midfielders. And I think this is a new target, because Man United are thinking, are there any proven 30 to 40 million midfielders? You bring in Tyler Adams, you bring in Elliot Anderson, and then you bring in one other midfielder, I don't know, Angelo Stiller, for example. It gets quite interesting. And I think United are probably looking at 1 huge midfield signing, 1 middle midfield signing, 1 smaller midfield signing. I would say smaller is 30 million under. I'd rather Tyler Adams be in the 30 million range, but I think he's a good player, and I like him as a 3rd choice for depth. So yeah, why have Manchester United sort of changed their midfield plans? because I don't think we've ever really looked or planned around Tyler Adams. And I do think now we'll be looking at Tyler Adams, a João Gomez, a Sander Berge type player as that third midfielder. I think third midfielder's got to be in that 30 million range. I think first midfielder is going to be in that sort of 80 to 100 million range. And I think Tonali, Baleba and Anderson are those on the list. I think Baleba's at the bottom of the list due to form. I think there's going to be one 80 to 100 million midfielder. I think there's going to be one midfielder that's in that sort of 50, 60 million range. And I think Matheus Fernandes would be my ideal pick. I'd look at Matheus Fernandes of West Ham go down, Burwell of Tottenham go down. And then that third midfielder for depth, João Gomez could come and do well, Sander Berge could do well, Tyler Adams could do well. And I think United have maybe come to that realisation that, we should probably get a Prem-proven midfielder in for depth like Tyler Adams. I think Man United have realised with Cunha and Mbeumo being hits and older and Prem-proven, I think United have probably gone and looked at it and thought, yeah, let's bring in a midfielder. And I think that's why United's plan maybe in midfield has changed a little. Look, Manchester United are planning a midfield revamp and are likely to add at least one Prem-proven signing. The club are monitoring midfielders Tonali, Bruno Fernandes, Elliot Anderson, Carlos Baleba and Wharton. Look, if we could get one of Tonali or Anderson for the DM role, that would be fantastic. If you could get Bruno Fernandes, I don't think we will. That would be amazing. I think this is what Man United want. I think Man United want one of these, ideally two, but I think it'd be very hard and financially a lot to get to. And I think someone like Tyler Adams is coming in as that third. And I think that would be a good midfield rebuild. Imagine having like Maino, Adams as one, Bruno and Mount as the 10s, and you could have maybe, but I don't know, Anderson, Baleba as the 6s. Like, I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm just saying as an example. Continuing on about Bruno, because obviously if Bruno goes, we're going to need a number 10. Ratcliffe and senior figures are desperate to keep Bruno Fernandes. United want him to extend his deal, and Man United are prepared to offer him up to 400k a week. I mean, I feel like he's on a lot of money now, so he'll just get 25% more surely because we're in the Champions League next season. So I don't know if we need to offer him a new contract with higher wages, especially if he's got 2-3 years left on his. But I guess it might be to try and stop teams buying him for 56 million or 52 million, whatever the release clause is. Look, if we get Champions League, I think Bruno stays. I really hope Bruno stays. If Bruno goes the same summer Casemiro goes, that makes Bruno leaving even more catastrophic because they're our two most important players. And I think next season will be really difficult without Bruno Fernandes for whoever the manager is. In terms of other news, we know that we want to sell Bayendier. We know Bayendier is for sale in the summer. We know Onana's for sale in the summer. And there's talk about maybe Vitek coming in and being the guy to challenge Le Mans next season, which I quite like to see. I don't think Bayendier is good enough. But Man United rejected Besiktas' offer for Altay Bayendier in the January transfer window as they're keen to keep him as backup to Seny Lamons. Was interesting news there. And I guess United are just thinking they don't have many options, so keep Bayendier to the end of the season. But we will be looking to sell Bayendier in the summer. Bayendier wants to go in the summer. I'm surprised we didn't sell him in January, considering that we were quite keen to move him on and he probably won't play. But I think United just didn't want to take that risk in case Le Mans got injured, because then we'd have Tom Heaton. But I think Bayendier will be on his way to Besiktas in the summer. In terms of goalie news, the United goalkeeping scout Tony Cotton, who obviously scouted De Gea, scouted Le Mans and told us not to sign Onana, is now getting interest from Leverkusen, Wolfsburg and Como. He's done a good job at United that other clubs want him. So that's a big green flag, because I don't think many other clubs have wanted our scouts in the past. And the key figure behind the Le Mans signing, see it as one of the signings of the season, which Tony Cotton was driving when Ruben Amorim was pushing for Emi Martinez. And why has Seny Lamons been such a good signing? Value for money, wages, price tag, all of that. But he's good. He claims the ball. He's a good shot stopper. No goalie's prevented more goals in the Premier League this season than Seny Lamons. He's been, a proper game-changing signing. And if we get a third place, a big reason is because we've swapped Højlund and Onana for Lamons and Sesko. That'll be a big reason why. And why is third so important for Man United? So for finishing 15th, we got 136 million. City got 165 million for finishing third. If we finish third this season, we get 30 million more from the Premier League, and we get around 100 million more from the Champions League. And then you look at the sponsors, Adidas, all of that. If we get Champions League football by finishing third, we'll probably make £150 million more than last season, which puts us in a much better position in the transfer window. We've got our goalkeeper. Can we go and get our midfielders? We've got Mbeumo, we've got Cunha, we've got Bruno hopefully staying, Sesko. We've got some decent centre-backs. Can we go get some midfielders, get a left winger, get a left back this summer? Third's really important for increasing the budget. Anyway, thank you for watching today's 10-minute roundup. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please do go ahead and hit that like button. You're welcome to subscribe if you're new. See you next time. Bye.